Wednesday, November 9, 1983. Alfred Heineken, CEO of the famous brewing empire, is leaving the company headquarters in Amsterdam. It is almost 7 p.m. His chauffeur, Ab Dotterer, is waiting outside on the street. Heineken is the last to leave the building. Two women walk out just ahead of him. Then, all of a sudden, Heineken is attacked from behind. The kidnappers try to drag Heineken away, but he fights back with everything he has. He calls for his driver, who is already running toward him to help. The attackers overpower both men and force Alfred Heineken into the back of a van. 90 minutes later, a package is left outside a small police station in The Hague. Inside is a letter from the kidnappers demanding a ransom for the release of Heineken and his driver. Never before had such an enormous ransom been demanded in Europe. The planning. 1981, 2 years before the kidnapping. A young man is driving through Amsterdam to meet his closest friends. The meeting is about to begin and he is already late. He enters the building, climbs the stairs, and finds the apartment door open. Inside, his friends are lounging in leather armchairs. Champagne is chilling on ice. On the television, the New Year's Eve countdown is playing softly in the background. Then midnight strikes. Fireworks flicker outside the windows. The young man clears his throat. "Listen," he says, "I think it's time to make a fundamental decision. It has to be all or nothing. We need one plan that solves all our problems at once." By the end, the group will consist of 5 men. Their leader is the ambitious young man speaking now, Cor van Hout. His girlfriend calls him Flip or Flipper. Sitting next to him is his right-hand man, Willem Hollader, at first known simply as Willem, but eventually nicknamed the Nose. Beside him, nodding in agreement, is Frans Meyer, one of Cor's oldest friends. His nickname is the Professor. The 4th man is Jan Bollaert. He wasn't present that New Year's Eve, but he is part of the gang. His nickname is the Cat. The 5th member is Cor's younger half-brother, Martin Urkamps, known to everyone simply as Break. Back in 1983, the orange Renault van leaves the scene of the crime. At the wheel is Jan Bollaert, the Cat. In the passenger seat sits Frans Meyer, the Professor. In the back, Cor and Willem are guarding the hostages. Their escape route has been planned down to the smallest detail. So Martin, Break, had been given a special task in advance. He had learned how to tamper with traffic lights and manipulate the control box. If necessary, he was supposed to switch the intersection from red to flashing orange so the van could drive through. It's a clever idea, but on the day of the kidnapping, something goes wrong. On the way to the Heineken headquarters, the gang passes a police checkpoint. Because of the risk, they decide it is too dangerous to let Martin work on the traffic light control unit, so they send him home and gamble on making it through on green. Which means the most dangerous point on their route remains unprotected. What they don't know is that the taxi driver behind them has already alerted his dispatcher, who in turn has informed the police. If there was ever a worst possible time to stop at a red light in front of a crowd of officers, this would be it. But when they reach the intersection, the police are gone. The light is red, and Willem tells Jan to just drive straight through. The escape route. The orange Renault van races through the intersection and turns right. Now, the next phase of the plan begins. Under the Toronto Bridge, there is a bike tunnel. A few hours ago, the gang had removed the bollard at the tunnel entrance so the van could drive inside. The original plan was to park the van in the tunnel and block it, but the taxi has followed them this far. Cor grabs the chauffeur and drags him into the back seat of a second car, a Renault 20. Then they head for the motorway ring road, take an exit toward an industrial area, and drive into a hangar. The metal doors slam behind them. The entire kidnapping has taken just 35 minutes. The hostages' clothes and belongings are burned, except for their IDs and Heineken's watch. Then the kidnappers head back into Amsterdam's city center and spend the evening at their favorite bars, establishing alibis for later. 90 minutes after Alfred Heineken was abducted, a package is left outside a small police station in The Hague. Inside is a letter from the kidnappers demanding a ransom for the release of Heineken and his driver. Never before had such an enormous ransom been demanded in Europe. The kidnappers are asking for 35 million Dutch guilders. Adjusted for inflation, that would be almost 75 million euros today.
The money must be prepared in thousands of bills, in multiple currencies and denominations, making it easier to spend and harder to trace. The letter ends with instructions for what the police must do once all of these conditions are met. The authorities and the families now have 72 hours. Inside the cell, Freddie Heineken wakes with a start as someone opens the door to his cell. He is lying on a rough mattress under a cotton blanket, still in his pajamas. The cells are hidden inside a large hangar on an industrial site near Amsterdam. Heineken and his chauffeur are hidden behind an almost invisible secret door in the rear wall. Escape is practically impossible. Cor van Hout's gang had invested the equivalent of almost 50,000 euros over 2 years into preparing for all three. Their victim had to be rich. He had to pay quickly. The list of possible targets became shorter and shorter. Willem Hollader's father had worked for the Heineken Brewery Group for decades. The decision had been made. Now, the real work began.
Police search the abduction site and find broken glass, a sports bag full of submachine guns, and the orange van. Tracing the van leads them to a car dealer and then to another stolen vehicle, an Opel Kadett. Now they think two things. The kidnappers were rushed and they're looking for that Opel. But that is exactly what Cor van Hout wanted. The bag of Uzis was planted.
Now came phase 2. Negotiation. To communicate with the police without leaving a direct trail, the gang used Doderer's recorded voice on cassette tapes. These tapes were played from random phone booths. The police could not answer directly. Their only way to respond was through newspaper ads. Phase 3. The ransom drop.
The bigger the ransom, the harder it was to move. The gang calculated everything down to the gram. 35 million guilders, packed into 5 mailbags, each weighing nearly 100 kilos. Half a ton of cash. Moving it without getting caught? Almost impossible. The handover had to be fast, silent, and completely out of the police's reach. So they started planning. One idea, a boat transfer, pulling the money across the water from a distance. Another, a vacuum system, sucking the cash through pipes like a department store. And then, a houseboat. Drop the money, sink it in barrels, and recover it later underwater. All clever, all risky. Not good enough. Cor van Hout wanted something better, a plan that would outsmart the police completely.
The first failed drop. Tuesday, November 15th, 1983.
6 days after the kidnapping, the phone rings. It's Doderer, but he's not speaking freely. The Eagle is giving orders. The police, the Rabbit, have 10 minutes. A white van, a hotel near Schiphol, a buried container with instructions, and one rule: if they're followed, it's over. It's the middle of the night. The gang watches from a dark apartment, scanning the road with binoculars. They're waiting for a signal, a white van marked with 2 red crosses, but it never comes. 1 hour passes, then another. Nothing. The warning had been clear: disobey and the hostages die. 5 a.m., still nothing. By 8:30, it's obvious. The police didn't show. They're stalling and gambling with 2 lives. Cor van Hout is furious. The police just bought time and exposed part of the plan. So he responds, cold, direct. They made a mistake. Each hostage loses a finger. Then silence. 10 days of it. 10 days to realize just how badly things went wrong.
The second drop. Sunday, November 27th, 1983.
Police wait inside Heineken's home. Then the phone rings. 10 minutes. An orange van. 5 bags. A hotel near the airport. Follow every instruction, or it's over. The hunt begins. First stop, proof of life. They're still alive. For now. Then it continues. Stop, move, wait, drive. Again and again. Buried messages, new routes, no control. Hours pass. The driver is exhausted. Then, a new order. Slow down. Find the cones. Drop the money. Don't stop. He sees it. An opening in the road. This was never just a drop. It was a trap. A 1,000-kilometer game. And now, the owl strikes. On a bridge. In the middle of nowhere. The retrieval. Everything is in position. Willem watches from a distance. Jan waits in the truck. Franz hides in the bushes. Cor is ready. Then, the sound. The bags sliding down. It's happening. Seconds later, all 5 bags are in the truck. No time to think. They move. Fast. No one speaks. No sirens. No pursuit. For now. 10 minutes later, the forest. This is the real test. They jump out, open the bags. Cash spills everywhere. They scan it. No trackers. Still clean. Helicopters in the distance. Closer. No time. The money goes into hidden barrels. Everything else, burned, buried, gone. Within minutes, they disappear. 2 years of planning, and it worked. The tip-off.
But something is already wrong. Days earlier, a letter had arrived. Anonymous, precise. It named them. The police called it Exhibit 547. They never made it public, but it changed everything. From that moment, the hunt had already begun.
2 days later, Cor notices it. He's being followed. The police are close. Too close. They return to the forest, dig up part of the money, split it, and disappear. They promise to meet again. They never will. The arrests.
One by one, they fall. Jan and Martin, first. Caught with cash. Arrested. Then the others. Franz turns himself in. Escapes. Runs. Captured years later. Cor and Willem, tracked to Paris. One mistake. One phone call. That's all it took. 11 years each. The perfect crime wasn't perfect. And in the end, it all led back to one man, Willem Holleder.